Hello, good morning, and welcome to forexforsteadyprofit.com. I use the Commitment of Traders report, which comes out every week on a Friday, and I need to give me an idea of market direction. I analyze the ratios of longs to shorts for the commercials and non-commercials, and I also look at the divergence on the pairs, and it gives me an idea of market direction. We'll just go and have a quick look at the charts. So here we have the Commitment of Traders information in its raw form. You get the non-commercial positions and the commercial positions, long and short, and then you get the change in open interest. And you also get that broken down underneath for longs and shorts for both the commercials and the non-commercials. And we can see this broken down into a graph over a period of time, which also gives us comparatives, which are also very useful to look back on the history. And so we'll go and do that right now. And here we have a graph of the positions over 52 weeks, that's a year, for the commitment of traders of the commercials and non-commercials. And this is for the Australian dollar. This chart is produced by cotbase.com. And you can see here where we got to a low position with the commercials, and we're completely opposite to the speculators, and they've got a long position, so we're short. You can see we had a big drop off in the price of the Australian dollar. Conversely, when we were at a high and very bullish for the commercials, and we were fairly bearish for the non-commercials, that we actually had a hike in the rise of the price of the Australian dollar. This is a very useful tool to be using, and we can show you other ways that we use it and other things that we do with it. So here we have the Australian dollar, US dollar, and we've got the RSI. Now if we put a trend line on the RSI and we wait for it to go above the 69.1 and come back down and cut through it, this gives us a sell signal. Now, this obviously would have been a very good sell signal here. We had a sell signal here indicating this big long fall that we've had. And quite recently, we've had a rise in the price of the Australian dollar, which is just going through the 50 here. And I'm expecting it to turn back down and cut through the trend line, which will give us another sell signal because we have an extreme position of short the commercials and long the non-commercials on the Commitment of Traders report, and this should be quite a long sustained downward trend, which is always very profitable. Last bit of information, this is Ludwig's divergence calculator, and it works really well, and this helps us with the crosses. These are the currencies against the US dollar, and here we have the crosses calculated, and it gives us a divergence value between the commercials and the non-commercials, and it shows some of the pairs that are of more interest than others. A very useful tool, only available on the Members Centre, and the pairs that are of most interest we do feature on the video on the Members Centre every day, so you get a daily video on those. Hello, good morning and welcome. This is the Commitment of Traders report, and it's Sunday the 7th of January. And I'm just going to start off with this, make a change. This is the S&P 500, and we saw that this is a weekly chart, and we saw a massive rally last week on the S&P 500. On the RSI, and this is very interesting, we saw the RSI come up. It sort of went over, it cut nicely through, and this is quite a nice cut. It went through a nice steep angle. It went through the trend line that I put on the RSI. We have actually come down under the resistance, and we've bounced back up, but we've had this massive candle up, but we haven't actually made a higher high on the RSI. So that shows a little bit of bearish sentiment. And if we go now over to the commitment of traders report, this is the commercials, and you see they've taken a really nice bearish step down, but the speculators have not taken such a large step up. So maybe we'll be looking for a little bit of downside on the S&P next week. We'll see how it goes. I just thought I'd throw that one in just to start the day off. So here we go with the Australian dollar. Basically, if you look over the last 4 weeks, the Australian dollar has had some really good upside, and basically the commercials have kept their position. That's the long. They haven't really taken any of that position off. I think we might be seeing a little bit more upside in this. So we'll go over to the chart, have a quick look. Australian dollar, US dollar. Commercials have got a long ratio of 1.5 to 1, and they have been short a long time. And the speculators are short by 1.4 to 1. We're coming up, we've got quite stiff resistance just above it here. We've actually popped our head above the resistance on the RSI, and I think we might just see a little bit more upside. This trend line has worked really well for us, kept us out of the trades apart from this sell limit that I put there, which is a bit disappointing, but there you go. It's had a lot more upside than I really anticipated, and I think we might actually just make the 79. So we'll see where that goes next week. Next one, we've got British pound. The commercials are still bearish. I think this is quite a long time. I'll go on to a 3-year chart. This is quite a long time bearish position that they have got. Although it's only a small figure, the actual percentage change for up here down there is quite considerable. This is a bearish position from there we've got 3 years. Whoops, not quite 5 years. But anyway, I am expecting to see quite a bit of downside to the pound, really. So when we look at the chart, see we've had a bit of upside here, and I am expecting it to sell back down. We've got a commercial ratio short of 1.4 to 1. We're actually pointing slightly up on the RSI, but I expect to see more strength coming through for the dollar and a little bit of weakness for the pound. So we'll see where that goes to. Right, next one we've got up is the Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar, it's still a little bit bearish. We've had this massive rally on the Canadian dollar. Unbelievable figures they had out on Friday for their employment. Saw a nice big candle up there. The only thing I can think is that the commercials would have been a little bit more bearish this. And everybody's talking about interest rate hike for the Canadian dollar, which I don't know. I don't think that would work too well for them, but we'll see what happens. At the moment, where are we? Canadian dollar. We've had this big move down. We're running alongside the trend line at the moment. With that big candle down the other day, I think we might actually see a little bit of follow through on this. So I'm not going to jump to get back in to the upside. I'm just going to take a couple of days, just see where it goes to. We had a bit of a pullback. I think we might just come down and touch this line again, if not go a little bit further. So we'll see where that goes to. There we go, the euro. Yes, the euro. The commercials have added massively to their short position, and this was before we had this recent upturn in the euro. So the euro has actually gained more strength. So I think the commercials will have added to this already extreme short position. they actually added more to the shorts for the commercials than the speculators added to the longs. So we'll just go and have a quick look at the chart. Euro dollar, it's gone up nicely, as you can see. Whoops, the daisies, didn't quite get that. There we go. It's gone up nicely. I'm looking for it to turn back down. I'm not going to put the line too tight. As you can see, we have actually made candles going slightly up, but the highs on the RSI are slightly down. That's showing the sentiment is actually turning down for the Euro US dollar. So it'll be nice to see that come back down. I think next we've got the Swiss franc. No, Japanese yen even. There we go. We've still got an extreme bullish position for the Japanese yen. If we go over to a 3-year chart, you can see it was more bullish there. This is basically about here. It was about as bullish as it has been for 3 years. We've come off the boil a little bit, but I am expecting more strength through from the Japanese yen. So when we look at the chart, not the Swiss franc, we want the yen. There we go. We've had this bit of really sort of a sideways movement now for about the last 4 or 5 weeks. We're above the 50 on the RSI and also pointing up. On Friday we had somebody banging the quantitative easing drum, and I did see that the rise in the fall in the price of the yen, and it's rebounded a little bit. A bit disappointing that. I was expecting a bit more downside, but we do have a commercials ratio of 5.3 to 1 long for the Japanese yen. So we'll see where that goes to, but I am expecting more downside to that pair, upside to the Japanese yen. Swiss franc. Yeah, well, we've had quite a bit of strength. Last week we had a pullback, and basically we haven't moved on the commercials. We still have the same level of bullishness. So I am expecting more upside, and we'll see where that goes. But if we put the chart up, we have a little bit mixed. We've come down, we've had a little bit of a rally back up, and then it's dropped down again the other week. So where are we? That's Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. We were here. I think we're going to see more aggressive downside for this pair. Strength for the Swiss franc. So we have a commercials ratio of 3.5 to 1. The speculators are short 1.6 to 1. We're below the 50 on the RSI, which is fairly important, and we are sort of pointing down a bit. So I hope we're going to get some more downside to that pair. Quick look at the USD index. We haven't really moved all that much. We're still taking a fairly bullish look at the US dollar. I do have the US dollar on spot DXY. We just got one trade at profit at the bottom there, and it does seem to be finding a little bit of support at the moment. We'll see where that goes next week. That's a daily chart. So yeah. Mexican peso. Yeah, so we are still fairly bearish for the Mexican peso. We've had a little bit of a rally up, and quite honestly I would have expected the commercials to have added to their bearish position. I did actually I got out at the bottom here, so I took my trades from about 6 months ago. I got out. I'm waiting for it to pull back up a little bit more strength, and I'm waiting to sell this pair or buy the USD Mexican peso. So we'll see where that goes. Oopsie daisies. New Zealand dollar. Incredible strength this has had over the last 4 or 5 weeks. The dollar has gone up, and it's gone up for about 4 or 5 weeks consecutive, and basically we haven't added a lot more to the bullish position, but you would expect as it went up for the bullish position to have faded a bit, but it hasn't. So you know, I wonder how much further we can see the New Zealand dollar go. I've got my trend line on it, as you've probably seen, so I'm just waiting yeah, we'll look at the chart, shall we? Here we go, New Zealand dollar. As you see, it's gone up, it's nicely over the 69.1. I'm waiting to see what happens next week. It's coming up to a little bit of resistance, but I'll see how quickly it goes over that, and you know, see where that goes to. Whoops, daisies. Yeah, energies, crude oil. Again, we've got an extreme, all-time extreme bearish position taken by the commercials. We've had more upside last week, and they haven't actually increased their position by much. If this doesn't come down by Tuesday, I think they're going to be putting some more money on it. So we'll see where that goes to. I hear people talking about 77 and 80 dollars a barrel, but I really can't see it. I think this is about as far as we're going to go. What we got next? Metals, silver. Yeah. I think we are about coming to the end of the upside. It does seem to be stalling about here. I've got resistance just above where we are, and it's still got a fairly bearish position. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm not getting mad keen to get back in. We are just about looking like we're going to cross the trend line, which will give us a sell signal where we are. So I might take a decision on that next week. Yeah. The copper is quite interesting. I don't know if anybody can trade that. We have got an extreme bearish position by the commercials, and we've got quite a high price on copper. I have got it on one of my brokers to have a look at, but I really think that would be a good short back down. So and a quick look at platinum. We still have a fairly decent bearish position. I think I might wait until next week. We've had quite a steep climb up. If we just have a look, I haven't got it on this chart, sorry. It has had quite a steep climb up, and I am waiting to sell it back down. So we'll see where that goes. Anyway, that's about it for today, and hopefully see you on Monday for the daily report. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm 6 people away from getting 1,000 subscribers, so if anybody could subscribe for me, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, cheers now, bye.